Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. And Aaron is fresh off of an airplane. He was in Quebec City for a work trip. So welcome back to your home, Aaron. I know it's probably nice for you to feel more comfortable and be back at home.
It is, and everyone speaks English, which is fantastic. Nothing against people who speak French. It's a great language, but it's probably because I can't speak it. It's nice to be back home. So yeah, it's always fun to get out to Quebec City.
Nice. So, starting things off for the episode, as is oftentimes the case, just a quick little mail day update. I recently added a couple of things to my collection that I wanted to share quickly here. First one, right up front, I want to give a big shout out to David Keppel, who on social media is DakTMacFan_cards. And he and I had been kind of talking a little bit about the Topps Now sticker cards, not really cards, just stickers, straight up stickers of Connor Bedard. And he was kind enough to reserve. Basically, you can either buy single stickers or you can buy like a pack. I think it's of like 20 stickers, I want to say. I'm just remembering back from our conversation like a month or so ago or whenever it was. But he ended up buying a full pack of the stickers and was kind enough to just say, hey, if you want any of these, let me know. You can have them at cost plus whatever it costs to ship them to you. So just let me know. So I took him up on that offer. And yeah, that is my first physical Blackhawks related Connor Bedard item for my collection. So got that a few weeks ago, but yeah, just a really cool piece, obviously from his NHL debut. Really cool picture on that too from the warm-ups. And yeah, just a really cool piece to start my Bedard Blackhawks collection. So again, David, thank you very much for helping me out on that. Really appreciate it. And the second thing, another big shout out to Matt Chang, who is a buddy of both of ours. I know, Aaron, you've talked to him and done a deal with him at the expo on my behalf. And over the last 13 months or so, Matt has now put three pretty notable cards in my collection. The first being the Vezina V16 pad card from 2000 Be a Player. That's the one that you got at the expo last fall. And then earlier this year, he also was able to acquire and then move to me the Jaccob Slavin The Cup Black Auto 1/1 from 2020-21 The Cup. So that was obviously amazing. And then shortly after the Fall Expo, Matt reached out to me out of the blue and just said, hey, I came across this one. Do you need it? And I did. And, fortunately, we were able to come to a deal very easily. Matt is super, super easy to work with. And I would highly recommend that everybody take the opportunity to buy from him. He's a great guy to work with and definitely cares about the hobby as a whole. But anyway, jumping to the card itself, it is again from 2020-21 The Cup, again of Jaccob Slavin, the red foil auto tag numbered out of 4.
That was an awesome card. I really like those cards with the red foil. Such a nice card with that sweet Italian numbered stamping, I believe. Really cool. I actually like that though. But yeah, such a nice card. Love the red. And yeah, with a great auto on there as well. 1/4, always extra cool that way. Yeah, super nice card. Really nice design.
Yeah, definitely a great looking card. Obviously, the red is a nice color match for the Hurricanes as well. And obviously a really nice Adidas tag on that too. I mean, a lot of times with tags, it's kind of just like the laundry instructions or, random, stuff like that. So to actually just get, straight up the Adidas logo on the tag is really cool. So yeah, just a pleasure as always working with Matt, and very grateful that he came across that card and knew where it needed to go. So again, Matt, thank you very, very much for doing that. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next time you find something really rare and cool for my collection. So yeah, just wanted to start out with those couple mail days and then turning to the main part of the episode. It has been a very long time since we have done a listener Q&A episode. I was kind of flipping back through old episodes, and I want to say it was like episode 48 or something around there, like 2 years ago or so. So it's been quite a while. So long overdue that we do another one. And it was kind of on short notice. We just kind of thought of the idea and posted on social media saying, hey, do you guys have any questions? And fortunately, we did get a decent little list of questions here to go through. So we'll just go through those. And yeah, I always really enjoy these episodes because it's fun hearing what you guys want to hear us talk about. So yeah, always really enjoy doing these. This is the third one that we will have done. So yeah, we'll just jump right on in. And I will say up front, if you guys are hearing this and it triggers, a question in your head, go ahead and send it to us and we can address it in a future episode. So just putting that out there. But first question, this one is from Enno Kirchhoff. He says both your PCs have a significant number of one of ones. Assuming these are never intended to sell, would you get the one of ones in your PC graded, or is that just unnecessary? Thanks and keep up the good work. I'll answer that first. For my collection, I would say it largely kind of depends on what the card is. I have at least two one of ones that are graded, one of which I just bought graded and have left it graded because there's not really much reason to break it out. And then one I did submit myself, but the vast, vast, vast majority are not graded. My rationale for grading the one, and that being the Fleury Gold PMG that I have, is kind of two, three, four-fold almost. One, the PMGs are pretty condition sensitive, so getting it slabbed is just a good way of ensuring that the condition stays as it is and it won't, deteriorate from, being put in a one touch or putting it into a penny sleeve and a corner gets chipped or whatever it might be. So just being in the slab keeps it in that condition, hopefully forever. So there's that. And then obviously I ended up having it graded with tag. And I was just kind of curious to see what the tag process was like and, really wanted to just explore that and figured that would be a good card to do it with since I wanted to have it protected. And the tag also offers their really, really, really impressive imaging as part of their service. So that was another very important part of it for me, was getting that really good imagery because the card doesn't scan overly well. So getting that imagery was just a really nice bonus there too, as well as having that super, super thorough, in-depth grading report that tag provides. So all of those kind of combined into why I did get that card graded. But I would say in general, I very much lean toward not grading one of ones. Theoretically, the intention of grading is to establish what the condition of that card is, kind of in comparison to other copies of that same card. So you think of Young Guns and things like that, where there's tens of thousands of copies, and grading it makes sense because it's like, okay, well, this is in better condition than this copy, and things like that, and it actually makes a difference. Whereas if it's one of one, well, you're not going to be comparing the condition of that card to another copy of the card because there isn't another copy of the card. There's just the one. So yeah, I think that's kind of like the main thing to me is the intention of grading, is really to establish what the condition of the card is in comparison to other cards. And another thing too that kind of comes to mind with that is if you are buying or trading for a one of one, you're acquiring the card for the card. You're not acquiring it for the condition that it's in. If you're a player collector like we are, and a one of your player comes up, you just want the card. You don't care if there's a slight corner ding or, an edge is slightly chipped or whatever. And, oh, it went grade a 10. Well, I'm not interested anymore. Well, no, it's a one of your player. You need it for your collection. That's why you want the card. So yeah, I think that was kind of a long-winded answer for me, but I would generally say that I kind of lean more toward not grading one of ones.
No, that's a great answer. It kind of gives both your opinion on what you do with your collection, but also sort of why people sort of collect in the first place, getting those cool cards for your collection, and also kind of why people grade in the first place to sort of differentiate from the thousands upon thousands that would exist out there in the first place. And for one of ones, obviously, you don't really have that problem. So yeah, no, really good response there. For me personally, I don't, one, because although it is a significant collection in number, it's not really something that is worth all that much, if I'm being honest. So it's just something that in the future, it wouldn't really be something that I need to keep perfect. Even for me, like Eric said, having that one of one of a player that you collect is just it. That's enough for me. Just having the card it checks that box. It doesn't need to fit a certain condition or anything like that. So grading for me, it just doesn't serve a point. And at this point, collecting for so many years, you've sort of acquired a bunch of one of ones. And so to send all those off to grading and just, the financial cost with that as well, just for me, in my opinion, just wouldn't be worth it, for my collection at this stage. But for those who do, great. I've known a lot of people who have done that for one of ones or for, a certain number and below. They're like, I gotta get this graded, and more power to you. There's no wrong answer here, but in my opinion, I don't. I just kind of sort of keep it protected, as best I can, which is still for me, a recent development. After storing a lot of my one of ones in binders, just having the card was enough for me, and condition was very, very secondary. So, just as of recently, getting to a point where it's like, what, they're stored adequately. Finally, that's good enough for me. So, to each their own, but it's just not something that I would partake in.
Yeah, I think that's good insight there for sure. And one other thing that I just wanted to throw into that I have noticed people on eBay, on Facebook, whatever it is, they come across a one of one and then they're like, oh, should I grade it? Should I grade it? Should I grade it? Where should I send it for grading? Blah, blah, blah. Thinking that it's going to make the card worth a lot more because it's graded or if it grades well or whatever. And again, a collector that's buying a one of one is buying the card for the card. They're not buying the card for the grade. So, the kind of that mentality of like, oh, I gotta grade this one of one, it's gonna make it more valuable. Well, not really. I mean, like maybe if you have like a gold PMG, like I said, and it got a 10 or something, then like, yeah, maybe. But if a one of one gets an 8 or a 9 or something, you're basically kind of just wasting your money for the grading service if you're looking at it just from a monetary aspect. Now, again, of course, if you just want to grade the card for yourself and have it in your collection and all that, like how I did for the Flurry, that's perfectly fine, no problem. But, I wasn't doing that to say, oh, this is going to raise the value of this card. Like that was has never been in my head whatsoever with that card. So just wanted to throw that in there. Next question is from a good friend of both of ours, Al Geschwentner. He said, what's up with the plethora of one of one cards from Upper Deck? As an example, Jerome McGinley has 7 one of ones in 21-22 stature and 10 one of ones in 22-23 stature. My thought is that there are two main possibilities. First, Upper Deck wants to address the notion that the value of boxes is well below what we pay for them. With the possibility of one of one cards in a box, that average return goes up significantly regardless of the odds. Secondly, it helps out the breakers as it gives them a bigger hook to pull in participants. I would question how it helps the average collector, though, as many participants list their hits and prices are through the roof for these cards. I would largely agree with what you said there, Al. I think those are both definitely factors. I think another aspect of that too is when you kind of factor in that products are being produced in a larger quantity right now. Naturally, you kind of just have to come up with additional cards to put into the product. And you don't want to just say you're doubling the print run of a product. I'm not saying that's the case, but let's just, for sake of the argument, sake of the conversation, let's just say you're doubling the print run of a product. You're not just going to double the amount of the base cards and the basic types of stuff. You have to kind of do it proportionately. So I think that's also a big factor here, is just that products are being printed in much larger quantities over the last couple of years. So as a result, just naturally, in order to maintain a similar level of quality within the product, that means there are going to probably be a little bit more of those rare types of cards as well, in addition to just more cards in general. I mean, stature is a great example, like you offered there. Seeing a huge influx of new parallels and variations to stature, whereas the first 2 years of the product was a fairly straightforward build, and there wasn't a whole lot going on with parallels and variations and stuff like that. So yeah, I think stature is a great example. I'm glad that you brought that up. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on there, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Al definitely had some good insights there with his question. And I definitely think that he's correct. I think there is a lot of one cards out there now, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. But when I'm scrolling through eBay or something, looking at some cards from like a newest release or something, maybe I didn't pay attention to the checklist as much as I should have. But you'll come across a one of one parallel, and you're like, did that card or that set like really need a one of one? It just seems like there's a couple more sets that just have that one of one element to it where it's like you didn't really need it. You could have just stuck with the main sets that have one of one parallels and just sort of kept it at that, and then be creative with the rest. But being creative and adding a one of one just seems to be sort of the, maybe not the defaults, but definitely more trigger happy when it comes to stamping a one-on-one on the card. Yeah, so just yeah, I think definitely it's sort of like a trend. Maybe we'll see things pull back a little bit, but definitely when they're coming out with so many products and so many the printing presses are running overtime, in this example. But yeah, I think that could be definitely the reason why they're sort of trying to fill up these checklists and gives collectors something to hunt for. And I think adding a one of one is a way to do that. Especially with a new set they're announcing to sort of draw some eyes. That adding a one of one just brings up the excitement to another level. But I think for those collectors who've been in the game for a little while, kind of have seen that sort of maybe go a little bit too far. I'm a fan of one of ones. I have a lot of them, but yeah, I think definitely it's reached a point where, if Upper Deck wants to scale back, I mean, not saying you can't have rare parallels, like go nuts on some rare parallels, but certain sets having a one of one, it just brings it, it swings the pendulum a little bit too far that direction, in my opinion, and sort of waters down, you know, what should be a really nice hit into, another one of one, which is weird saying that about one of ones that they've been watered down, but it kind of seems that way. So yeah, I would agree. I think there's been a lot of one on ones out there, and scaling it back a little bit, maybe keeping things the way they are, but maybe every new set or new concept in the last 1 or 2 years maybe doesn't need to have that one of one component, and then things would be okay. But yeah, it just seems like every new edition now has a one of one parallel. So maybe pump the brakes on that. But yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of those out there now. But what do you do, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, going back to Al's stature example, I mean, the first couple years you had the base black auto, which was a one of one, and you had the purple auto patch, which was a one of one. That used to be it.
That's cool.
Um,
Like I'm cool with that. New product, couple one of ones in there. I've had no problem with that.
yeah, and I guess some guys also had just like the purple portrait one of one. So some guys had like three one of ones, just looking at the base set, not including inserts and stuff. That's a different conversation. But now I know you've got like the black auto one of one and the black photo variant auto one of one and the black design variant one of like all of these different variations and stuff. So
Like that
um
meme, like that Oprah meme where everyone gets this, everyone gets that. So it's like everyone gets a one of one. So it's kind
yeah.
of like that. So yeah, I think maybe they're going a little bit overkill. And I see what Al was saying, trying to give people something to look forward to when it comes to group breaks and things like that. And yeah, it looks good. Like look how many one of ones or one of one of this guy or another one of one looks great. But just I don't know.
Yeah, it makes them less special, like you said.
Yeah, I
I,
think
I
so. Or
agree.
maybe that's just getting old. I don't know. Maybe it's just that mentality that I guess older school collectors might have, that you ask a collector who's 10 years or so younger and they love all the one of ones, and it's okay. But again, these are just our opinions.
Well, that was a really good segue because the next question is kind of that old school versus new school collector mentality. This one comes from Kurt Johnson, another good friend of ours. He says, just because it is the rookie year of a player does not make every card in a product a rookie card. For example, an insert autograph in the cup. Collectors touting it as a true rookie card, yet the true rookie card is really the RPA out of 99, for example. Not every insert and parallel in the product. Thoughts? I would definitely agree with that, Kurt. again, that's probably the old school mentality. Whereas, the new school mentality, people say, well, it's a rookie year card, so it's a rookie card. Whereas to me, and I think a lot of people who have been collecting for a while would say, well, all rookie cards are rookie year cards, but not all rookie year cards are rookie cards, if that makes sense. So if you look at a product, let's just even stick to flagship. You have the Young Gun, and then you have all the parallels of the Young Gun. Well, to me and to most collectors who have been around for a while, the Young Gun is a rookie card. And then, your clear cuts and your exclusives and high gloss and all of those are parallels. They're still rookie year cards, but those are not a rookie card, which, I completely understand to a new collector why that would be confusing and make absolutely zero sense. I think a lot of that comes from how Beckett kind of handled things back in the day and how they determined what was a rookie card and what wasn't. And they always just said the basic version of a card within the base set of a product, that's the rookie card. And then everything else is a parallel or an insert or whatever it might be. So, I think that was kind of really how people viewed it for a number of years and still how a lot of people view it today, myself included. So, yeah, to me, I definitely have that distinguishment of rookie year card versus a true rookie card. And yeah, that's how I view it. I don't know how you view it, Aaron.
I kind of like I think you're right. Like, the true rookie card, like that's how it, has been looked at, historically. But I don't mind it as much, if someone's autograph insert comes out in the cup, and it's their rookie year, if someone says rookie card, yeah, like it's their rookie card, like it's their rookie and it's their card, and that's okay. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I would classify in my own collection, the true rookie, like, oh yeah, like that one's the true rookie, but then these are the parallels. But I mean, to me, they all feel like they're all rookie cards. So maybe I'm a little bit more lax on that, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, like that to me, like I can go either way on that. Like if someone wants to talk to me about a certain card being like, well, that's the true rookie, so that means it's worth X amount more, like I could totally see that. But if someone wants to sell someone a card and maybe they're okay with paying a certain premium on it because it's a rookie year card or rookie card, then I'm okay with that too. It's okay. Again, maybe I'm more new school, I guess, with this, but yeah, like to me, it like doesn't really matter as much. But I can see it from both sides. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of with both sides here. I get it. I guess it depends on, if you're negotiating and you value a certain card this amount because, oh, like I would pay this amount for a true rookie, but then because it's not a true rookie card, then I wouldn't. And then maybe you're kind of haggling with a seller a little bit. I could see the frustration, but for me, just looking at the hobby in general, if someone considers it a rookie card, I mean, that's okay. I mean, depending on the product, it probably looks very similar or identical to the true rookie. So I'm a little bit lax on that. If someone wants to call it a rookie card, sure, it's a rookie card. That's okay for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like there isn't necessarily a truly right or wrong answer with it.
There isn't.
Um,
I think there's another sport that considers it. I want to say basketball. Maybe I'm wrong, but like they because hockey's weird with, like, I've heard, with the whole true rookie thing, we do it a little bit differently. Like we're kind of sticklers, when it comes to that, true rookie, and then the other ones aren't because of the parallel version, which again I see, and I've viewed it that way myself for years. But I think when it comes to other sports, they just view it all as like a rookie card. And you know what? I can kind of see it from that way too. So for me, I'm kind of neutral. Whatever like side of the fence you're on, that's okay. And I think you're equally right. And I guess maybe this is just a hockey thing, but I don't know as much about the other sports to really comment on those sports. But yeah.
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for sure. And yeah, again, like I said, I can totally see how that, is it a rookie card, is it not, type of thing can be very confusing to especially a newer collector. So yeah, I think to summarize, it really just comes down to, old school versus new school mentality. And it's kind of as simple as that. But Then I just wanted to throw this in there, totally random, out of the blue, and this will put a timestamp on when we're recording this for you guys. But Tristan Jarry just scored a goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
No way. That's awesome. I love goalie things. It's fantastic. Good for him.
Yep. Of course, an empty netter against the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. So that's pretty cool. Figured I would
That's
just
awesome. Good for him.
throw that in there.
Nice. I
Back
can't
on,
wait. Can't wait for a goalie to score on a goalie. Fleury almost did that against Brodeur back in the day.
yes.
So I think one day it'll happen. We'll see. But I mean, hey, an empty netter, that's awesome. Good for him.
I think that would pretty much just end a goalie's career if he let the other goalie score on him.
Maybe not Brodeur, but like at the
True.
time, it was close. Like I don't know if it would end his career, but I think any other goalie when they get scored on, because I think one day it'll happen. A weird play. I think that would end a goalie's career. I think they would quit the sport and move to like an island by themselves.
Maybe Vesa Toskala can come out of retirement. He can be
I
the one
think
to.
I think so. Apparently, like fun story with Vestos, but he hated his time with the Leafs so much. Apparently, he burned all his gear from the team. Like again, I have no idea if it's true, but yeah, like I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. Leafs could be brutal on their goalies, but anyway, continue.
Yeah. Anyway, back on script here. Sorry about that, but fun little side note there. Obviously, a moment in hockey history there. So wanted to throw that in there. But anyway, on to the next question. This one comes from Dakota Woodhead. And this was a really interesting question. And, when he sent it in, I was like, oh, like I'll have to think about that one. He asked, what is a very rare card, whether it be an insert, a set, etc., that has little or surprisingly low demand? Great question. And to me, kind of the key with this is the demand word, not necessarily the same as value. Now, of course, low demand typically does lead to, relatively low value as a result as well. But yeah, just the low demand aspect of that was interesting to me. And I was definitely trying to give it some thought. And what I am going to end up going with is a type of card that we mentioned recently on the underrated, overrated episode, that being the true base cards, the clear ones from Upper Deck Synergy, just because those cards are, pretty hard to come by. And, especially with how much of the product is produced every year, those are very, very, very tough cards to pull, and even just very tough cards to find after the fact, too. Jacob Slavin was in 22-23 Synergy, and I've only seen one single copy of the true base card, and I did not get it, and it ended up going for more than I figured it would, actually, which is kind of, I guess, counterintuitive to answering this question. But still, I feel like those cards are just very heavily slept on because of, not only how rare they are from a print run standpoint, but how difficult they are to pull, in comparison to how heavily produced like the red parallels are, and things like that. They're just extremely tough cards to get. And so you have that, but then like we said on that episode, the cards themselves are just absolutely beautiful cards. The acetate and the rainbow foil board, and usually it's a pretty cool design, and those cards just have so much going for them. But it's just because they're from Synergy that for whatever reason people just don't really give them much thought. And yeah, I just, to me, those are cards that should garner a lot more attention than they do, but because of the synergy factor, they don't. So that's the answer that I'll go with. We were kind of talking about this before we started, kind of trying to brainstorm if there were other things. And I know, Aaron, you've got a couple of really good answers for this question too.
I do. My first, set that I would sort of talk about here is sort of like they're not super, super rare, but I guess, rare in the sense that when looking at its counterpart, it definitely has, demand. Talking about the National Treasures RPAs. I know they don't make them anymore, so it's a little different. But back in the day, back about 10 years ago, when these things hit the market, they just didn't have the demand that, say, a Cup RPA out of 99 had. Obviously, there is more brand recognition with the Cup and hockey collectors, but National Treasures, especially since then, has been a hit with other sports. And it's like, again, I don't follow other sports and their hobbies as closely, but like Eric was saying, for National Treasures, and I know this happens in soccer, those cards are like the cards to get. But for hockey, it just never really translated. Again, partially because they stopped making it after that 1 year, and if they continued it, maybe it would have evolved into something. But at least right now, even for the notable players, it just doesn't get the same evaluation that the cup does for someone say a nicer card, and the print run being the same. It just doesn't have that value. So part of that is also why brand recognition is so important. It could have, when looking at the market, that sort of a price difference, and for a collector who pulls that card and wants to sell it, it does make a big deal. And so yeah, just it's kind of weird that there would be that difference there. But yeah, so that's sort of my first answer. And another one, this goes sort of into the true, I guess, heart of the question, a true, lower printed card that just doesn't have that value. And that's for me, the OPG blank backs. And partly because, I mean, I've talked about it on this podcast quite a few times, but part of that is that a lot of people just don't know they exist. And of course, if you don't know something exists, you don't really, you sort of ignore, just by that mystery, you ignore a lot of the collector market because they don't know, to really search for these cards. And so because of that, even though they're printed, arguably, depending on the year, 5 to maybe 15 copies, they just don't get the assessment that I think they would deserve. Some players do go for a lot, the odd time, yes, but for the most part, even middle of the road, higher end players or legends, their cards don't really, their blank back cards don't really go for that much. I haven't really looked at prices too closely, but I know there is in the last few years, a one of one blank back parallel. So maybe those, of course, having the one of one on the back, maybe, it shouldn't have went the one of one way. We just kind of talked about this earlier, a card that I don't think should have got a one of one treatment, but it did. But, I digress. Maybe cards like those, yes, being a blank back, but also a one of one, maybe it sort of gets the value it quote unquote deserves. But I mean, for the traditional blank back, it's an undervalued card that I think, definitely needs more attention. But, that's how the things are in the market sometimes. But yeah, it's a card that I think for those who know about it and who've been, chasing it for a long time for their collections, I think they would tell you they would value it a little bit more than what you see other players going for. So yeah, just kind of a oddball selection for that question. But yeah, good questions tonight.
Yeah, I love that answer of the OPG retro blank backs. I think that is honestly the best answer of the three. I think a lot of that is because it's OPG, it's a lower end product.
That's true.
It's opened a lot by kids and newer collectors and people like that. And that's great. That's what OPG is there for. So as a result, some of those copies of the blank backs are probably just pulled and people don't even realize they pulled one. So combined with then the scarcity of them in the first place, that kind of contributes further to them being really tough cards. I mean, obviously we're both very devoted player collectors and our guys have many blank backs. And I mean, there are some that I have never seen a single copy of one. And, if one popped up, as a buy it now for $50 or something, I would probably buy it. Now, if it went for auction, it might sell for $2, $3, $4, $5, but I would happily pay way more than that to make sure I got the card. So,
Funny
yeah, I
how
think,
that works, and the sellers
yeah,
out there listing it don't know that there's that sort of hidden demand, so they might not even list it at all. Or when they do, yeah, they'll let it go to auction. It'll sell for a couple bucks or whatever. But meanwhile, the person on the other end, really would want that card, and it would pay truthfully, a lot more than what they got it for. I mean, it's good for the collector, but it's times like that where it's like, even if you did pay, a higher premium on to buy it now, you'd be like, I'm not even mad because to me it's like worth it. You know what I mean? But yeah, to your point about people not knowing, I mean, I wrote an article about blank backs a couple of years ago on my blog page, and still, even today, I think I wrote it back in like 2018. But even today, like every couple months, I still get a new comment on that article, and about people asking, I pulled this blank back of the player. I thought it was an error Like these are people who might not have collected for years, or they're a new collector. So different sort of ends of the spectrum, but they still don't know what these cards are. And OPG blank packs aren't new. They started in 2008, but they're still new to a lot of people, and they just don't know what they have. And they're just never going to list it for sale, and they're just looking for information. And those are just the people who look out and find this random article. There's a lot of collectors who don't, and they're just sitting there with these cards. And like I had one guy saying I hit, I think, two of them in the same box, a pretty good box, and just was going to throw them out because he thought it was junk. And that was, an adult's, and so, yeah, like who knows? Like there's, like they're out there, but a lot of people don't know what they have even today, with so much focus on the hobby the past couple of years and all the different products and things like that. But a lot of people don't know these cards exist, and there's some value to them, in my opinion. Maybe not every time, but if all eBay sellers were to put their blank back cards out there for like maybe $10 by it now, some more than that, but I think they would all eventually, sell. I think people would kind of cave in and be like, well, I haven't seen that card in a while, and just sort of, buy it. Because, yeah, I mean, I think there's a collector for every player. And I think for those cards, for those who want it, you know, sometimes you got to pay the price because they don't come up much.
Yeah, very true for sure. And I guess that's a good example of Easter eggs kind of being a double-edged sword sometimes.
Yeah, but I kind of like that though. Like I like, the hunt of that, finding those cards that, I have no idea if I'll ever see them. I luckily I found all the blank backs for my collection, but some of them took many, many, many years. So it was a fun ride, that's for sure. And I don't mind that.
Well, congrats. I'm definitely jealous of that because I
Well, you
still
have that
need quite a few.
score French back, which
True.
I'm always jealous of you for that one. And you
And
have
the
multiple
MVP Gold
copies.
script as well.
Yeah, so I mean it goes both ways,
True.
for collectors. So yeah, congrats on you for that. But also, there might be cards in other people's collectors where you're like, man, I wish I had that version for my guy. But that's the fun part of it. It's fun.
Very true. So yeah, Dakota, thanks for that question. That was a really good question and one that we enjoyed thinking about and answering for sure. So kudos to you for that. On to the next one from our good buddy Josh Packham. He asks, do you think we see Upper Deck continue to combine products to help get caught up on product releases? And when he submitted this, I was kind of thinking, well, we can either, share our thoughts or opinions on this, or we can just get the answer. So I opted for that route and I reached out to Billy Celio and asked him, and he said that 22-23 Upper Deck Clear Cut will be the last instance of that. Obviously, that including 21-22 Clear Cut within it as well. So that is the only product still on the docket that will be a combined product. We've seen it a little bit in the past, like I know with Upper Deck Ice, some of those 2020-21 cards were inserted in 21-22. But yeah, 22-23 Clear Cut is going to be the last occurrence of a combined product. So yeah, pretty short and sweet answer there. And no opinion about that whatsoever. That's just the reality straight from the man himself. So we'll leave it at that. On to the next question. This is another extremely good question that, again, when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, like this is a fun topic to talk about. So shout out to Brad Rutherford, longtime listener of the show. Appreciate the great question. He asks, would you rather stay solely with Upper Deck or give into a Fanatics takeover and hope for retro Topps designs? Aaron, do you want to start off with this one?
I mean, preferably, I would have both. Get a license and have the ability to have those, cool Topps designs with Upper Deck cards in there as well, and whatever new stuff Topps would come up with. I think both would be a good thing for the hobby. I've said it many times. Competition is the best thing for collectors, and I think they would both push each other, like we saw with Upper Deck and Panini back 10 years ago. They both pushed each other to do better, and I think and to be creative, and which they both would have done independently, but I think it brings another level when you have that competition. You see it in any industry. People have to work a little bit more for the collector. And I think they would, the collector at the end of the day would benefit from it, with new products and work to, you know, have X amount of products for, to compete with, the other company. And I think it's kind of fun. And again, the collector would definitely benefit. Like I wouldn't really support a full takeover of, of Fanatics. I don't know if this would happen for hockey. I hope it doesn't, but with their licenses, I think for football, like, did they get like a 20-year license or something like that? Or
Yeah,
um,
they have the licenses for the other three major
yeah,
sports leagues, and they are all like ridiculously long term, like
yeah,
20 or 30
exactly.
years.
Something like that. So it's like, no, I don't want that for hockey. Like, no way. I would rather, if given the choice, like Upper Deck for sure. But like I would welcome competition for sure. Other companies getting a license to see these designs. So I guess I'm going to kind of cop out and say, I wouldn't want Upper Deck to kind of give in for a Fanatics takeover. I wouldn't want that, but would I like to see Topps designs? Sure. And for that to happen, I think there'd need to be more companies with licenses. But yeah, as far as the Topps design go, I really like what they've done with the sticker products. I really enjoy those. I think the designs are fantastic. So to bring those over to hockey cards would be awesome. I wouldn't want it to be at the expense of Upper Deck, but I think is there a desire to get in there and from a collector's point of view, would collectors respond well to their cards if they were to start producing hockey cards again? Yeah, for sure. And so one day I hope that happens, but I hope it's more of a competition based happening as opposed to a full takeover. I think that's a little much, but it's a good question, and it's something I would like to see, not in the same way, but yeah, like what I would like to see those Topps retro designs on cards for sure.
Yeah, I would largely echo what you said. I think obviously the ideal scenario is, yeah, that Topps gets a license. Well, Fanatics, I guess, gets a license in addition to Upper Deck. That's not going to happen though, because Upper Deck has the exclusive for the foreseeable future. We don't necessarily know exactly how long that is, but Upper Deck did put together a long-term extension with the NHL. I want to say like a year and a half ago or something like that. So for the foreseeable future, I mean, I would have to assume that's probably through the rest of the decade at least. I don't know. Haven't heard any details or information about that, but if they're saying a long-term extension on top of what was already in place, you have to think it's, that the deal was probably already in place for at least a few more years. And then if they're extending it long term, you're probably looking at least another 7, 8, 10 years, whatever. So yeah, just because of that, we're not going to see that multi-company competition with a license, unfortunately. I know we go back to, the days where Upper Deck and Panini both had them, and then even before then, dating back to 0304, my favorite year of the hobby, when you had In the Game, Pacific, Topps, and Upper Deck all had a license. And guess what? Every product back then was amazing because it had to be, because every company needed for their products to be really good. So obviously that's just a beneficial thing for the hobby and for collectors. But yeah, we're not going to see that, unfortunately. But what theoretically could happen is maybe Fanatics tries to buy out Upper Deck. That's been speculated. We've talked about it on the show before. We've talked to Upper Deck about it on the show before, and nothing has changed in that regard since then. So I wouldn't expect for that to happen, but it could. My hope would be that it doesn't happen. Generally speaking, I'm not really a big proponent of Fanatics. I don't think that their quality and their customer service and stuff like that is where it should be. So yeah, I would just be really nervous about that. I'm a hockey guy. I don't really pay too much attention to other sports cards and stuff like that, but I do pay attention to baseball a little bit here and there, and just have seen some things that Fanatics has done with Topps since they took them over that is a little bit concerning. Kind of the big thing to me is that now every single product has like a Chrome version of it. And that, like, when I say that, like, I'm not kidding, like everything, like even the things that shouldn't, like a Topps Heritage or Topps Archives, stuff like that, those have Chrome versions now. And to me, that completely defeats the entire purpose of the brand. It's like these are retro inspired products. We don't want modern chrome versions of vintage cards. Like that's not the point of the brands at all. So, to answer your question more directly, I would love to see a lot of those old Topps designs and Topps products back in hockey. I just wouldn't really feel comfortable with Fanatics being the ones doing that. And yeah, if that means that it would just be Fanatics as the sole licensed manufacturer, I would also not be on board with that at all. So yeah, maybe, I would love to see them implement some of those designs on the stickers. I think that would be a kind of a good compromise. People would be able to get some of those designs without having really the implication of Fanatics having a license for cards themselves. So I think that could be an interesting way to go about it. And, that would be a kind of a fun solution, I guess, even though it wouldn't really be the full scale products and things like that. But yeah, definitely a fun question, a fun topic to think about. Obviously, Topps has so much history with hockey cards over countless decades. I mean, going back to the 50s. So many iconic cards made by them over the years. And yeah, it would definitely be cool to see those designs and products brought back. But yeah, I would just be a little bit leery of kind of the situation if that were to ever actually happen. So yeah, awesome question, awesome topic. And then our last two questions both come from our buddy Matt Burrows. First question, and I'll break this down into the first question. We could talk about it, and then the second question we could talk about it. So, Aaron, I'll let you answer this one first. How has the podcast brought a new level of enjoyment to the hobby?
Man, what a great question. I mean, it kind of forces you to kind of stay involved. It forces you to sort of see what's going on in the hobby, and knowing that you might have to comment on it, or we're fortunate enough that we get to experience the new products coming out and stuff like that, which is really cool, and sort of add some cards to our collections that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise. That's really awesome. We get to sort of find out more insider information that as fans of the hobby for many many years, it's kind of cool to see the inner workings of it, and and have more information is really fun, to be a part of that on this level. And yeah, just makes me enjoy picking up a card, and you get to share this with a little bit more people, which is kind of cool. And yeah, it just keeps me more involved. Again, I've been in this hobby for quite a while, and it just adds another layer to that, and just it keeps the hobby fun. And even if I wasn't with the podcast, I'd still be enjoying the hobby very much, of course, but like I said, just adds another layer to it, which I can enjoy, as someone who likes every aspect of the hobby. Gives me another thing to get excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely echo those sentiments for sure. And I think what first came into my head when I heard the question was, being able to develop those relationships with the card manufacturers and people like Billy, and being able to get that insight straight from the source, and not only just like learn that and hear that for myself, but then be able to share that with other collectors, has been a very rewarding aspect of all of this for sure. And obviously, we are so grateful to Billy and Paul at Upper Deck, for being so gracious with their time, and sending us products to share with you guys and stuff like that. And Greg Cohn at Leaf and Dr. Price with President's Choice, all of them have just been so generous with their time and their willingness to come on and join us and just share information about the things that they're doing. And yeah, those are definitely relationships that I've really enjoyed cultivating through this. And yeah, definitely very, very fun, whenever we have a conversation with those guys, and just learning new stuff about cards. I mean, that's one of the best aspects of the hobby, is continuing to learn more about it. No one is ever going to know everything, but if we can, continue to hear those stories and learn more about why things are the way they are, and how the process of building a product works and things like that. I think that's just a lot of things that most people don't have the opportunity to hear or learn about. So, the fact that we've been really fortunate to have those relationships with people like that has been very, very enjoyable for sure. So, good question. And then Matt's second question is, what are some set ideas that you'd like to see Upper Deck bring to life in future releases?
Man, that is a tough question. I'm not sure. I'll let you go ahead first if you have anything. It's a toughie.
I do have something, but it's going to lead into my box break, so I will let you go first.
Oh man. Okay. This one's been asked before, just in the hobby. I've kind of heard it around, and I would definitely be all for this. But game used goalie mask cards. Like, come on, it's possible. If you can put, like, what are they doing now? Like putting basically half a hockey net in a card. Like they're putting glass in a card, it's just like a big chunk of, thing that they're making cards like a book. They gotta do it. I think we talked with Dr. Price a while ago, and he had that idea. I think he had a mask at some point and just couldn't figure out a way to cut it all up and to put it in safely. And that's fair back then. But now I think, Upper Deck doing those thick cards, even, President's Choice, with their thick cards too. I think someone's got to do it. And maybe it'll be a one-time thing every X amount of years, because obviously you're not going to get everyone's goalie mask, but the odd time they will come up for sale, just do it. It'll be so cool. And do it. It's awesome. Even if you just want to use the straps or something, like it would be so cool. And just Upper Deck, if you're listening, just do it. Just buy a goalie mask. Just do it. I'll give you my mask, and just you can cut it up and amateur used, but still, it just do it. People would have interest. It's so cool. Anyway, just do it. Game used goalie mask cards.
That would make for some incredible memorabilia pieces with all the
Art
mask
and
art.
everything. Oh, it'd be so cool. I mean, it'd be difficult for sure. You might have to use these side panels that don't have that curve to it and just sort of, you know, but it's possible. You make it super rare. It's possible. It's like it'd be very difficult. Or like I said, the strap portions, those would be fine. But just it's definitely possible. And yeah, I'm disappointed they haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, even like Dr. Price has done metal from the goalposts of nets. So I mean,
Exactly. Yeah. Like, come on. But that's with President's Choice. I mean, like I remember when we were talking with him about it. I believe it was on a podcast a while ago with him, and he did mention the possibility of a goalie mask, a game use mask card. This was back when he, was first in the game and he started that all up and stuff. But back then I could totally see it, with the small cards, and maybe they didn't have the technology to cut that stuff up. But nowadays, someone's got to do it. 20 odd years later, someone's got to do it. I think it'll be done one day. I think so.
I hope so. That'd be really cool to see. I mean, I know
Actually, I think there was like a Finnish card set that did do it. I got to find a picture. I think I reposted it like on the podcast feeds a long time ago, but it has been done, I believe, like with like a Czech set or something, or like a Finnish card set. I believe it was the Czech Republic. They have really cool cards. It like for their leagues and or national team set or something, but I believe it has been done. But I gotta see if I can dig something up. But for Upper Deck to do it, now that would be cool. Like on a mainstream level, do it. Just with NHL, like just do it. Do it.
that'd be really cool. I know even again dating when we're recording this, but Marc-Andre Fleury's Native American Heritage tribute mask is up for auction right now, and I want to say it's sitting at like 20 grand US. So it would be quite the investment for them to do that. But yeah, I mean, needless to say, like even if you just did like a jumbo side panel piece as a one of one in the cup or something, like that would be unbelievable. Like that would be so, so cool. So yeah, that would definitely be a really cool idea. For my answer, I'm not going with so much as like an innovative, like a new type of thing, but a type of product that I would really like to see done and has been done in the past. And I would just like to see it kind of brought back and then also kind of fine-tuned a little bit would be kind of like a fine-tuned version of Upper Deck masterpieces for current players. Obviously, the 0809 Upper Deck Masterpieces product is like one of the best products that Upper Deck has ever made for hockey. Over in over 30 years of them making cards. Just an incredibly elegant and beautiful product that is an art-based product. And that's kind of the main point that I'm getting at is I would love to see a really well done art-based product as a whole. Obviously, we see things like the Fanimation cards and the UD portraits and UD canvas cards and stuff like that. But I would love to see all of that kind of combined into one devoted art themed product that comes out every year. Have the base cards be like a really nice canvas, like how the Masterpieces cards were back in the day. You could have, original artwork in there, just all kinds of things like that. I would really love to see that. And, I know Billy has said on our podcast recently that he's enjoyed leaning more into having unique artwork in sets and things like that. So I think just really, really leaning into that and doing an art themed product every year, I think would be really, really cool. I would love to see it kind of be like a mid-end type of thing, make it so the base cards are really collectible, really nice, classy design. And, maybe you do like 6 packs a box with 4 cards a pack, and you get one base card, one rookie card, a insert, and then some whatever you want to call it, a hit or something like that. It wouldn't necessarily be a hit, and then one auto or memorabilia per box or something like that. So it's kind of like a mid-end product, but it's just a really elegant art inspired product. And I think that would just be a big hit with collectors. And yeah, just a cool way to do something different and unique compared to, just kind of more traditional standard cards where we see, throughout the rest of the releases pretty much. So, like I said, we've seen that with Masterpieces. We've seen that with I know like the timeless memory cards in Chronology were like that. There was a 14-15 edition of Masterpieces that did include current players and rookies and stuff, but that was almost like too much artwork, if that makes sense. Like I would, for the base cards, just want to have like a photo based image that maybe has like a Photoshop effect on it to make it look a little bit more artsy, because Billy has even said on the show, it can be really hard to get original artwork that really looks like the players. And I think that 14-15 Masterpieces was kind of, a good example of where some of those really didn't look all that great, and some of them did, of course. But yeah, I just think that a product like that would be such a refreshing product that people could really enjoy and really look forward to. And you could just do so much with different types of artwork, paintings and, different, cool photo things like thinking back to 15-16 Upper Deck Portfolio where they implemented the wire photo cards and things like that. There's just so much that you could do. And, you could do, canvas cards that kind of have like a border around them to make it feel like a framed card and things like that. I just think there's so much possibility that could go into a product like that. And if done really well, which I think there's every reason it could be done really well, Upper Deck does things like this in segments, with insert sets and different products and stuff. So, if you just combined all that and did it really well in one standalone product every year, I think it would be a huge hit and something I would really enjoy seeing. So that's my answer for that. And then I will let that serve as a really nice segue into the last segment of the episode, that being my Black Friday box break. And as you guys know, if you've been around the podcast for a couple years, every year my wife and I go down to her parents' house just outside of St. Louis for Thanksgiving, because her birthday is always within a week of Thanksgiving. So we're always down there for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And the LCS kind of in their neck of the woods in St. Louis is called RBI Crew 7. So shout out to them. Some of you might be familiar with them, but they always have a ton of really, really good deals on Black Friday, especially on boxes of cards. So I always really enjoy checking them out and seeing whatever sales they have for Black Friday. And this year was no different. So one product I was kind of hoping that they might have a good deal on was 21-22 Leaf Art of Hockey. And they did. So I was able to grab a box of that for a really good deal. And yeah, it was just honestly a no-brainer when I saw it available and for the price that it was. So a product that I had considered buying a couple times in the past. And yeah, this was the perfect opportunity to do it. So I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. Very excited to check it out. And some of you might remember from a few episodes ago earlier this year, I was able to pick up a few cards from this product. First, a couple from the National, of course, the Ovechkin jersey tag piece, and then the corresponding the other half of the jersey tag as well to complete that McGray tag. So I have those, and then also one of the Bobby Hull red framed autograph cards. And that's actually a really good example of kind of what I would like to see done in that product if it were to ever happen. These framed autographs in Art of Hockey are just absolutely stunning cards in person. If you're a fan of a guy that has a card in that set, do yourself a favor and pick up one of their autographs from this product because they are just stunning cards. So I am definitely hoping to get at least one of those, quote unquote, like framed autograph cards because they just look awesome. And there are a few other really nice inserts in here as well. But for those who are not familiar with the product, it's 4 cards per box. Generally speaking, you get 2 memorabilia and 2 autograph cards. So generally, it seems like the autographs are kind of the bigger hits. You can definitely get some really nice memorabilia cards, but usually the autographs are kind of what you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and typically all 4 cards will come in a leaf sealed one touch. Some of them are not, but most of them are. Usually the memorabilia cards are on top. They end up doing like the 4 cards, basically how they're in there is 2 cards kind of side by side. So the memorabilia cards are usually the top 2 cards and the autographs are underneath. So I'm actually going to go ahead and once I open this, kind of slide a decoy underneath the memorabilia cards so that I don't spoil the autograph cards, build up a little bit of suspense here so I don't just ruin it right away and then pretend surprised later, but more of a genuine reaction here. So let's see how we do. I'm really excited to see some more cards from this product in person. Some of the other really nice looking cards are the Objet d'Art memorabilia cards. Fun little French name there, but just some really nice foil on those. I like the iconography dual autos. The walk on water autos are really cool. Of course, the Museum of Materials cards are really, really cool. That's what the Ovechkin tag cards are from. So yeah, we shall see how we do. But yeah, like I said, this is a product that I had considered purchasing multiple times before. So really, really excited to check this out finally after giving it some thought over the months. Let's see how we do. I'm hoping if I can get a cool memorabilia card, if I can get a nice autograph, that would be wonderful. So here we go. So first memorabilia card, we have one of the paint by numbers. It is numbered 24 out of 45 of Pierre Turgeon.
Nice. Yes, super, super collectors out there.
Yep, and it looks
They go
like
crazy for his stuff.
looks like that's 3 All-Star jersey pieces there. And again,
Those are great.
the foil on these is really cool. So my guess is that's kind of like the worst card of the box. So, but still a really, really nice looking card. The second memorabilia card I am a big fan of. I really like collecting cards of this guy, even though like I wouldn't consider myself a collector of him. I just have always enjoyed picking up cards of his. I know Aaron will dig this one. It is from the Objet d'Art insert set, so I'm happy to have gotten one of those. Numbered 26 out of 45 for the Boston Bruins, Jerry Cheevers, with it looks like a couple of pad stuffing.
Had a lot of luck with his stuff lately. That card looks awesome.
Yeah,
Good job.
really,
Great hit.
really cool card. I'm a big fan of that one. Really like that one. Definitely happy with that. I was actually, as I was watching some box breaks of this over the last week or so, I was like, yeah, if I could get a cool Cheevers memorabilia card, I would really be happy about that. So there we go. On to our first autograph. It is from the Imajestic insert set. It is a blue one, numbered 4 out of 12 for the St. Louis Blues of Joe Mullen.
Nice. Those cards look great.
Yeah, very
Awesome.
clean. Very
Kind of
clean
looks like
design.
the champs cards. You know, the ones that are the white
Yeah.
ones.
Yep.
I think very similar.
True. Yeah, that's a good call. Really cool
Look
card.
nice.
Nice design. Color match too is always nice. So that's cool. And on to our second autograph and final card of the box. And that is a nice one for sure. I will happily take that one. It is from the aforementioned iconography insert set. It looks like it's just a base version, numbered 18 out of 20. Aaron, I know you'll like this one for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Daryl Sittler and Boria Salming.
Nice. Oh, what a great card. That's awesome. Especially for a Leaf guy like me. That's so nice. Really nice.
Yeah, very nice
That's
looking
awesome.
card. So yeah, I'm definitely very happy with the Cheevers and that dual auto. Those are beautiful cards.
Cards are great too.
Yeah,
Well
I
done,
will.
Leaf, on that.
Yeah, very, very pretty looking product. Those are beautiful cards. So yeah, definitely happy with my decision. And the folks over at RBI Crew picked a good box. I actually ended up just doing an online order because earlier in the day on Black Friday, I ended up going over to the AT&T store because I badly, badly, badly needed a new phone. And they had really good deal on the iPhone 14. So I just got an iPhone 14. So that was really my big Black Friday pickup. But yeah, so I didn't want to take the time to run over to the shop after that because that was a very involved and lengthy process. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and order online and then I'll pick up the box on the way out of town. So they picked the box and they definitely picked a good one. I mean, obviously nothing huge like a Lemieux or Howe or Yager autograph or anything like that, but you can't expect that necessarily either. So given that this was, I would say, kind of quote unquote an average type of box, I'm very happy with that.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. Always cool to check out a product that you've never opened before. And I believe this is actually the first Leaf product not in the game used that I have ever opened.
We did good and the cards are great. So congrats
Yes.
on that.
Yeah, definitely happy about that. So fun little way to end the episode there. And yeah, definitely pleased with that. A couple really sweet cards. And if anybody is interested in the Mullen or Turgeon, feel free to reach out. Those will be available if anyone wants them. But probably hang on to the Cheevers and the Dual Auto just because those are really, really cool cards. So yeah, but I think that'll do it. Obviously, like we said earlier, these Q&A themed episodes are really fun and enjoyable to do. And if you guys, thought of any questions or didn't see our post in time or whatever it is, feel free to reach out and maybe we'll do another one, sooner than later. Hopefully we don't wait 2 years again for the next one, but always fun to answer your questions and talk about the things that you guys want to hear us talk about. So I appreciate those of you who did submit questions and yeah, a lot of fun. And hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing what we had to say about those topics. Obviously you don't have to agree with what we say, but we enjoy sharing our thoughts on topics like that nonetheless. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. So as always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Sunrise Cardcast and on Twitter at Sunrise CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Sunrise Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.